Production funding for Flying Squirrels Insider is made possible in part by
Clean water is one of our most valuable resources. Conserving it should be all of our responsibility. Remember every day to make every drop count. Wash full loads, take shorter showers, turn off your faucet. Water, use it wisely. Let's commit to conserve.
and by SciComm Technologies, celebrating 20 years in IT. SciComm is dedicated to helping customers stay on top of the tech wave, whatever comes next. Online at scicommtech.com. Flying Squirrels Insider is back. The Squirrels return from Harrisonburg and Akron and head into the final month of the season. Jay Burnham takes us to FNB Field in Harrisonburg to show us their giant bobbleheads. But just because we are entering the dog days of summer doesn't mean FSI slows down. Left-hander Matt Gage drops by the studio, and the Squirrels bask in an Eastern League Pitcher and Player of the Week sweep. Here's your host, Jay Burnham.
That's right, we've got another action-packed show of Flying Squirrels Insider. Welcome back to this edition. As we turn the calendar to August, the Flying Squirrels have already played over 100 of 142 in the 2016 season. Before we move forward, we'd like to once again thank our good friends at Utility Buddy from the City of Richmond Department of Public Utilities. They make us aware of Richmond's natural gas safety program. Getting ready to install a fence or put on an addition to your house? Contractors, homeowners, and do-it-yourselfers, call 811 before you dig. Once again, if you want to win free stuff, we're still giving that away. You can text us to FSI at 63975. Mobile marketing services provided by Opt-in Technologies. Messages and data rates may apply. With that said, I'll bring in my broadcast partner and resident food critic, Greg Caserta. Greg, the Squirrels, as I mentioned, over 100 games already played this season, riding a little bit of a winning streak as we record this show.
4-game winning streak for the third time this season. Nice to see, especially after an 0-3 start on the most recent road trip that started in Harrisburg, ended in Akron. And as Jay said, we're getting ready for the final month of the season. Hard to believe that we've gotten to this point, but we've seen some things that we've liked, and it's shown with 4 straight wins.
We've talked a lot about the change in personnel for the Flying Squirrels. At the top is where it really is taking hold for Richmond. Steven Duggar, who was a 2015 draft pick, has been at the top of the order. He has been hitting and getting on base in a consistent level, and he really has shown that he belongs not only at this level, but maybe beyond starting next year.
I think he's making a very strong case, and that's what makes it so great is that Steven was selected last year out of Clemson, and for the first week to 10 days was still trying to find his footing with the Squirrels. He got off to a little bit of a shaky start at the plate, but since then he's turned things around, and I think he was in a little bit of a rut there, very similar to what Hunter Cole went through in that he was putting together good at-bats. He just wasn't able to find those base hits, and it manifests itself into an Eastern League Player of the Week selection, the first one for a Squirrels position player this season. Speaking
of Player of the Weeks, we'll have one other Player of the Week from earlier on this season. Matt Gage will join us in studio in just a little bit, but it was a clean sweep for the Flying Squirrels in those weekly awards. Andrew Suarez deserving of the honor, the Richmond left-hander.
Hey, he won 2 straight starts, and you're starting to see the strikeout totals improve. And Steve LaRue actually said to Jay just the other day that he thinks that Suarez has some of the best stuff on this entire team. And the Squirrels have a couple of guys that can throw upper 90s, stretching it to 100 miles per hour. But one thing that Suarez has done, and it's something that you have talked about, is his ability to pitch inside. He tries to establish that inside corner. And what's great about it is that he didn't get discouraged by some tough results early on. And you're starting to see him get more comfortable as time goes on.
Sometimes we forget this is a new set of circumstances for the San Francisco Giants, sending the Squirrels so early on in the young careers, just a year after being drafted. Suarez, as we mentioned, Duggar at the top of the order, C.J. Hinojosa, who's been the shortstop as well. Guys really in their first full season of professional baseball, making it here and having success early on.
And you talked about it even going back to last year where Matt Gage did the same thing. Tyler Beatty was sent to Double-A in 2015 after being selected in 2014. So yeah, there's this very fast upward mobility, and I think the Giants have done a great job getting these guys ready, and they're willing to ride the highs and lows because a lot of times these guys get to this level, they realize how tough the Eastern League is, and it takes a little time to figure things out.
As this show is being aired, the trade deadline is on the horizon and or past if you're watching the re-show on Monday. A lot of excitement, a lot of nerves maybe for some of these guys not knowing what's going to happen to them if the Giants are going to make a move and try to trade away some of their young talent. Does San Francisco do something before the deadline?
I think they do, and we've heard different things, not in regards to who they're going to move, but what they're trying to look for. They were in play for Aroldis Chapman. That didn't work out. Andrew Miller of the Yankees, as of this taping, still available, but the Yankees appear to be moving away from shipping him out. And now it's just a question of whether the Giants want to go into their bullpen to make a move, or do they add a starter at the back of the rotation? Because Andrew Cashner of the Padres, somebody that's been discussed, and I'm getting nervous thinking about it too.
And so the players hear their names swirling around, guys like Christian Arroyo and Tyler Beede out there on the internet as possible trade pieces. It's never done until it's done. The Giants have been known to talk about a trade and then sometimes turn within to bring up a former Flying Squirrels player. You mentioned guys throwing in the upper 90s. One that I think has been left out of the conversation for San Francisco this year has been Chase Johnson, who has come back from the disabled list, missed about 3 weeks, and he is throwing what pitching coach Steve Klein has aptly dubbed thunderbolts, 96, 97 miles an hour.
Jay Burnham loves thunderbolts. When Steve Klein said it, it really perked his ears up.
It's a great term.
It's fantastic. And it's funny because Chase only missed 3 weeks, but it seemed like a lot longer than that. And it was shoulder discomfort that had been bothering him going back to early in the season. He tried pitching through it. You go back to the end of May when he was swapped out of the rotation for Dan Slania. That has done wonders for Slania, and we have talked about that quite a bit here. But Johnson has since come back, and in the most recent series converted each of his 2 save opportunities. And the Squirrels finally have somebody at the back of the bullpen since Tyler Rogers that can now close out games and try and send them on home.
So Johnson will get, I believe, the majority of closing opportunities heading down the stretch. Also, the Giants and Squirrels do like hard-throwing right-hander Rodolfo Martinez, who's been given a couple of opportunities up from San Jose. You mentioned Dan Slania. I'll finish with him. I want to get your opinion overall on Christian Arroyo as Arroyo continues to lead the Eastern League in doubles. He's chasing a pretty prestigious honor for a Flying Squirrel, and that's being the all-time single-season doubles leader with 40. He's about 10 away.
And he's kept it going. I think that 280 has been about where he's sat with his batting average. And I know people always look at home runs. Home runs are the big number that people look at for power, but Arroyo's shown it with that gap ability. And a lot of times he targets that left field line, and 30 doubles for him in his age 21 season is incredible, and it's only going to continue to grow. I think for him, it's just a question of where he settles in defensively, because with the arrival of C.J. Hinojosa, that's taken a little time away from him at short, but I think at third base, he's done a great job as well.
A scary moment last week in Akron as Arroyo was hit by a 95-mile-an-hour fastball in the latter innings. He was taken out of the game. It appears that he's all right. That's the initial prognosis. Hopefully, he'll step back in a couple of days and continue the hot streak that he has been able to put together. On to Dan Slania, who you mentioned was taken from the bullpen into the rotation. I know we've talked about him ad nauseum, but he's done it again this past week in Akron. Not only did he really pitch well for the Squirrels, but he was at 82 pitches through 8 innings of work. He now leads the Eastern League in ERA.
And what we love, too, is that when Slania is on the mound, Squirrels games tend to go a lot faster, so it gets us out of there quicker. But in all seriousness, Dan has done a great job, and I think that what he's done is he's been able to carry it, and he's developed into a legitimate top of the rotation type pitcher. He doesn't have those strikeout ability that, let's say, a Tyler Beede does, but the way he attacks the strike zone has been really incredible. And now you're seeing him pop up on some of the league leaders in different categories as well.
I'll be curious to see where they slot him as a top prospect going into next year. Greg, thanks as always.
You're welcome.
Speaking of Super Slania, he does it all. We send him out into the community next on FSI.
RAMPS is an acronym for Ramp Access Made Possible by Students. We've partnered with over 800 student volunteers from local high schools and universities to build 304 ramps for individuals in Richmond, Henrico, and Chesterfield County.
Hey there, I'm Dan Slania. And I'm Jeff Arnold. We're with the Richmond Flying Squirrels, and today we're here helping ramps.
just hearing about it, it was kind of a no-brainer to jump on the opportunity to do something like this. It's an easy way for us to get involved with the community, get our players involved, our staff involved, and to actually make a difference in a day.
Timothy's a military veteran, and there's not really a way we can ever repay a veteran for their service, but it's just kind of a small way to show a little gratitude for what they've done for us and our country.
There are an alarming number of individuals in our community who are stuck in their own homes. This disconnects them from their neighborhood and their social support systems. RAMPS is enabling individuals to reconnect with their communities. If you are interested in learning more about the RAMPS organization, please visit our website, rampsrva.org.
Back here at FSI Field alongside left-handed pitcher Matt Gage. And Matt, thanks for taking the time, man.
Not a problem.
We're over 100 games into the
Yeah.
season. And as a pitcher, you get a lot of mileage on your left arm.
Yep.
How do you stay fresh going forward for the last month of the season?
Just having a positive outlook on it. Every day is a grind, waking up early, trying to get to the field, get your work in. But, it's just trying to stay positive through everything. And, it's not really a countdown to the end of the season because there's always more baseball, like Fall League, Winter League. But, it's just having a positive outlook on every time you're trying to go out and doing well.
I want to tell people about who you are and your background, but first, the Squirrels use a six-man rotation. It's something that they used last year as well. As a pitcher, you grew up, being a five-man rotation in college. You pitch on the weekends. How's it different pitching in a six-man rotation?
Well, actually in college, we only had a three-guy rotation. Right. We only played 3 games in conference on the weekends. Our midweek games were kind of bullpen days. Guys go, and the guys who don't really pitch in the conference games, they pitch in the midweek games. But the Giants really have a six-man rotation all the way up until AAA. So you kind of just get used to it. Again, just trying to get through everything and, try to go from start to start, working on things. And, for me, I'm trying to just get better every single day. It's just trying to work on my craft a little bit here, a little bit there, and see what I can do in my next start.
Your craft, you've worked on that since you arrived in Richmond last year. Going back to your college days, speaking of, you attended Siena in New York. You were a 10th round selection by the San Francisco Giants. Tell us briefly how you got to this point.
Well, it was a funny story. I went to AZL, just played there. I think they only moved one pitcher, and that was Beatty. And I think he only threw 3 innings in Salem. So I just got my innings in the AZL. And then last year I went to Augusta with most of the guys that, college guys. Played there, and then, we were in Greenville one day, and I get a call from my manager, Nestor Rojas, and he's like, "Hey, what are you wearing?" I was like, "I got nice shorts and a T-shirt on. Why? What's up?" He's like, "Well, put what you pitch in," and this is what I pitch in. So
before you pitch,
before I pitch, yeah. So he goes, "Put that on, and you're going up to AA. They have a doubleheader, and they need you to start." I was like, "Okay." So I went in, changed really quick, got on the bus, got to the field, packed all my stuff, got on a flight at 6 o'clock, got here, and the next day they're like, here's a bat. You got to swing. So that's kind of how I got here last year. And then this year, I went to spring training. I was in Group 2 for the entire spring training, and I won the job. I mean, I know there's probably 4 or 5 pitchers that could have took the spot that I have, and I competed for it and I won it.
And it's worked ever since. And by the way, for those that don't know, at this level, when the Squirrels, a National League affiliate, play another National League team, the pitchers have to hit, which is something that you don't do at the lower levels. Quickly, I want to ask you, I know I've talked with you about this before, but you come from a baseball family. Your brother Dave is actually the head coach of a college team.
Yes, my brother, he took over at the age of 24, which made him the youngest NCAA baseball coach. So, baseball's in our family. My dad coached him. My dad coached my brother coached me, and I don't have anyone to coach. I'm the youngest. So it's just been a lot of fun to be in a family of baseball.
And that's Southern Vermont, right?
Yes, Southern Vermont College.
And how are they doing this year? Or how did they do last year?
They've improved every year.
Okay.
That's the good thing. And then this year they got to the conference championship and ended up losing the first game of the conference championship. But it's a long way from where he took over. He took over the program. They only won 9 games when he took over, and they made, I think, 150 errors in like 30 games, and were like the worst fielding team in all of college baseball. So he's kind of really turned that program around.
Does he ever critique you?
Sometimes.
Okay.
You know, he's like my personal coach.
Yeah.
You know, I go to him for everything, whether it's the mental side of the game, whether it's you know, for my mechanics. You know, I also use my fiance's father because he played 3 years in the minor leagues for the Phillies, so I use him a lot. You know, so I just try to get as many different outlooks on it and try to see what can work for me and try to apply it and see what works.
Well, stick around with us. We're going to have you coach us here at FSI
All right.
Field in just a little bit. More to come on Flying Squirrels Insider.
We're here inside the Flying Squirrels clubhouse on a day where the team's out of town, so we have free reign here. And Dr. Park, we're here to talk about the importance of hydration. We're getting to the point now, we're getting deep into the summer. Very important to stay hydrated. Parney's got the water right now.
This is water, everybody. This is water.
Well, it's absolutely important. It affects you in so many different ways, and it's so easy to be dehydrated. So I always stress people, you got to start hydrating first thing in the morning. You can't make it up and drink a gallon at nighttime. So when people wake up in the morning, they've gone all night without going to sleep, without drinking at night. They wake up and they're relatively dehydrated.
Feeling lightheaded is one of the telltale signs. Are there other cues that you can pick up throughout the day where you go, okay, time for me to finally start drinking some water?
So feeling lightheaded is actually a late stage of dehydration. You actually can't compensate anymore. And the way you compensate, your blood vessels tighten up, your heart rate increases, and when those things stop working, then you start feeling lightheaded. And that's really kind of third stage there. And we don't want you to get to that third stage. We want you to be intentional and drink, like I said, sips all day, staying hydrated. It's not about compensating. Like you can't drink like 200 sips of water at nighttime and make up for it. You need to be constantly carrying water around, staying hydrated, being intentional.
I have actually had 3 kidney stones in a matter of about 11 months. And it is by far, folks, by far, the worst pain I've ever been in my life. And it's really simple. Just drink water. And Dr. Park convinced me that not only was that a problem, but I also was a tobacco user. Because I work at a baseball park, I felt like I needed a dip. And he convinced me to stop that as well. And it's been 2 major changes in my life that's actually got me back to being I'm still medium fat, but for my age, I just turned 50, so I'm fairly healthy, and I focus on my health.
And you haven't had a kidney stone problem since.
And if I have a kidney stone, then I'm coming to because you told me I wouldn't have it anymore.
All right, we're here at FSI Field with left-hander Matt Gage. We've got Greg, too. Somehow Greg managed to get on base against Matt. Matt doesn't give up many base runners, but when he does, it's important to keep them close to the first base bag. We're going to talk about holding on runners, and I guess first and foremost, Matt, what is holding on a runner?
Well, being left-handed, it's a lot easier than being right-handed. I'll start with that. I actually get to look at him, but just holding on a runner is just making sure he doesn't get a good jump to second.
So how do you do that as a left-handed pitcher, making sure that he doesn't get a big lead over at first base?
So first, I'm on the rubber. I'm more toward the third base side just for mechanical reasons, going to home plate, so that way my pitches move a little bit more. But anyway, when I get my sign, I just come set. And then being left-handed, I'm able to look at his feet, look at his body language, whether he's leaning one way. Most of the time when a base runner tries to make sure he wants you to think he's running, he'll like jab and stuff, but more than likely, most of the time when they're most still, they're trying to really, really get a good read on you and trying to get that good jump. So when he's most still is when I try to more than likely throw over.
So he's trying to fake you out.
Right.
You're trying to fake him out.
Right.
And so it's a matter of timing as to if you're going to stare him down and then throw to the plate, or if you're going to stare him down and throw to first. What's that look like?
Correct. So all it is timing. So I just come set, and maybe the first time I'll come set, go 1,001, slide step, and throw the plate.
Now the slide step is a quicker move to the plate.
Right, so instead of having a big leg kick, I just go here, and then it's just boom, straight to home. So it's a little bit quicker. That way, if he does end up stealing, my catcher has a chance to actually throw him out.
So you time it, maybe the first time, 1,000.
Yep.
And then the next pitch, for
next
instance,
pitch might be 3 1,000.
Yeah.
So just come set, 1 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000. You know, I turn my head back and forth, just giving him different looks. Then there's also times where, you know, if I come up, I come here and he goes, I can go right over because I'm watching him.
And in fact, you did that in this last road trip
Yeah.
out in Harrisburg. How does it look when you throw over to first? Because there's a certain line of demarcation that you're not allowed to cross, the balk line, if you would.
So technically we have a 45-degree angle, but there has been times where I've seen guys that actually go like this and almost go actually toward home plate but still throw over. It's really, really hard to get a lefty for a balk. The only time really is if you move or something like that. But if you're going this way, you're usually just trying to, you know, get them, and you know it's hard for an umpire to actually call it.
So you can hold the runner on. We'll leave Greg at first base, but you also come in to the plate with a variety of different arm angles, which gives the hitter a bit of a tougher time to pick up the baseball.
Yeah, for some unknown reason, just I throw over the course of the game from here to here to here, anywhere that's actually throwing a strike. So if there's one time I throw a pitch from here and I throw a ball, then I might go down to here. But then, to be honest, sometimes it just happens. You know, it's just one time I get my arm actually on top of the ball, next time it's like this. But the good thing is being left-handed, and the way I move the ball around in my hand, it makes the ball do different things. Right. So one time the ball might sink, time it might run, one time it might just do something else.
Well, so far it's worked out for you, Matt. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right, that'll do it for us from FSI Field. One more bit for you as we give you a look from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. On the road again with the Richmond Flying Squirrels. Last week, Richmond went to Harrisburg, Pennsylvania and Akron, Ohio. And I'm here at FNB Field in Harrisburg, PA. And we're right in the middle of the Susquehanna River. Now, Richmond, of course, has the famous James River and nothing beats it. But the Susquehanna does a pretty good job as well to play host to the Harrisburg Senators. You can see the river in the city off over my left shoulder. And here on the island, it is City Island, 63 acres of land with the ballpark taking up a small chunk of that land. There's activities, there's kayaking, there's even a soccer team that plays here on the facility as well. And of course, when you're playing in the middle of a river, you have to worry about occasional flooding. But this ballpark was built to take that into consideration. Everything in this park is elevated, including this year, world famous life-size bobbleheads.
Vladimir Guerrero is the best player that's ever been here. And we really thought Cliff Floyd was a pretty easy number 2 for us. But retiring numbers really didn't seem right, or just doing a traditional Hall of Fame would just be like kind of what everybody else does. And so this last fall, it really came to be about the Bobblehead Hall of Fame. We had Vladimir here on the first Saturday of the season, and I think he liked it. I think he thought it was pretty cool, actually.
Now, a lot went into this ballpark when it was reconstructed back in 2008, over $40 million. And part of that process of renovation included a wraparound concourse. As you can see, you can hang out in the outfield, drink a beer, eat a hot dog, and have a good time. Now, as I mentioned, everything in this ballpark elevated for fear of future flood. This level that we're at allegedly is the highest level that the Susquehanna River has known to be flooded to. So if anything does indeed happen, the structure of the facility will be safe.
The damage it does doesn't happen anymore. Mostly what we found was we just had a lot of mud left. On the field, we had about 3 inches of mud. It took about 2.5 months to get the mud off.
Now, of course, you still have to have a ground level, and that's where I am right now. Everything that's utilized at this level can be removed quickly or put into different storage areas as to not be damaged by any flooding. This is the home clubhouse of the Harrisburg Senators. You can see it's almost like a vault where you can seal it off and protect everything inside. Nothing says minor league baseball quite like life-size bobbleheads. Vladimir Guerrero, Cliff Floyd, just a duo right now for this life-size bobblehead Hall of Fame, and they'll be added to over the course of the next few seasons. Next year on the docket is the man himself, Bryce Harper. What do you think about that? Cliff? Vlad? These two guys agree. Harper is a good choice to be added next into the Hall of Fame. That'll do it for us here on FSI. Till next time, I'm Jay Burnham saying so long.
Production funding for Flying Squirrels Insider is made possible in part by
Smell gas? Act fast. Don't just stand there. Leave the area. Get out. Go where the smell is no longer present and call 911. Making you aware, keeping you safe. We're Richmond's Natural Gas Safety Awareness Program.
and by SciComm Technologies, celebrating 20 years in IT. SciComm is dedicated to helping customers stay on top of the tech wave, whatever comes next. Online at scicommtech.com.